Set out. In this video, I thought it would be fun to break down this project that is very dear to my heart. This was such a fun one to make, and I thought it would be worth resurfacing for my YouTube channel, do a little bit of a creative deep dive into the process of making it, as well as some tutorial aspects in Cinema 4D and After Effects along the way. This was born from the idea of just wanting to get away from the computer, get out into the streets with some chalk, and just make something with my hands. I've always been inspired by stop motion graffiti and any type of in-camera stop motion effects. A lot of the work I do, I spend a lot of time sitting at the computer, animating, rendering, doing visual effects. This one I wanted to just get away from that and make something handcrafted. Like most projects, it starts with testing, experimentation, just trying out different chalk colors, different surfaces, having fun with the chalk. One thing I really loved from the early test was this handheld, shot on my phone aspect, so I decided to stick with that through the whole thing. No tripod, no stop motion software, just holding my phone up to my chest and taking a series of pictures. After some messing around in the driveway, I needed a 3D model to create an animation for my stencils. I went to TurboSquid, searched for a skateboard model that I liked, and downloaded it. Now it's time to bring it into Cinema 4D. If you have After Effects through Creative Cloud, you have access to Cinema 4D Lite. You can go to File, New, Max on Cinema 4D File, label it something you like, and that will open up a limited version of C4D that still has plenty of tools that you can use. Here's what we got from the TurboSquid model. We have a few different file types. We can just grab this OBJ version, hit OK. The materials didn't come in, but that's okay. The important thing is that we got this UVW tag. Let's double click on this material. We don't need reflectance. We only concerned with color for this animation. We're gonna browse for a texture. Let's go to that folder from TurboSquid and pick a texture we like, and everything is working properly. Now let's change our render settings. Go up here and make sure we're in the standard render. That's all we're gonna need for this project. We can set our project width and height. Let's also go to 12 frames per second. That's changing the frame rate for the renderer, but we also need to change the frame rate for the project. Hit Controller Command D, and that's gonna come up here, and make sure that's set to 12 as well. What we wanna do next is create a camera. Let's zero out its coordinates. Let's put it high above the skateboard and rotate it down, hitting the R key and then shift dragging until we are 90 degrees from above. And then let's click on the crosshairs to look through the camera. We can adjust the coordinates so that we are framed the way we like. Now we have the top-down view of the skateboard, which is going to be our hero stencil cutout. It's time to animate the skateboard. Let's go to our side view by clicking up here in the corner and then clicking again here. Now we want to animate our kickflip. It would be a little bit difficult to just kind of animate these rotations and positions all on one to try to get a kickflip going. So what I recommend is creating a parent chain with individual null objects to control each of these different rotation and position values that are important to us for the kickflip. And then it's just a matter of adding keyframes at different points of your timeline and creating the animation. And here is my final animation. I went in and adjusted the animation curves to get a nice animation that I'm happy with. And now it's time to render it out as a PNG sequence with alpha. And here are my rendered frames. I decided to add one more in the middle, so it's an 11 frame sequence. The same stencil can be used for these 3 frames. Then I just need to cut out 5 more stencils because these ones can be flipped around and reused for these frames. So 6 stencils total. And by the way, I printed out this cheat sheet to have while I was shooting so I wouldn't mess up the order. Next was to transfer the stencils from the computer to some poster paper. I traced the stencils using Canon's EOS utility with a top-down camera and a monitor off to the side so I could see what I was doing. You could also do this with a projector or just print it out in separate pieces using your printer's poster setting. And here's the first test using those stencils. I was very happy with these results, and this proved to me that the concept was going to work.
Angelo on the beat.
I had this loose idea that I wanted the ground textures to change throughout the video, so frames like this one were really important to make the locations connect to each other even though they weren't in real life. This was all just a straight ahead animation, freestyling as I go, coming up with different ideas along the way. Another cool thing about shooting on my phone, I could just scroll through the camera roll and really easily preview the animation, make sure it was working right. In the end, it was about 100 photos total, all sequenced in After Effects, running at 6 frames per second, which made it about 16 seconds of animation. I only did a little bit of repositioning to make the frames consistent from one to the next. Other than that, it was all in camera and there wasn't much post-production work to do. I did, however, have to fix a few of the lightning bolts on the board because I had traced the stencil upside down. The only thing left to do is to collect a bunch of sound effects. I recorded a lot of it on my own, and I also went to freesound.org to get some sounds, and then bring it into Premiere and put it all together. Thank you for tuning in. This was really fun to take a look back on this project. I would love to do more videos like this, breaking down the process. Check out my Instagram. If you see something that you think deserves a project breakdown, leave it in the comments, let me know. Thanks so much for watching.